Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I'm proud to offer premium wireless for just $15 a month. And I'm proud that we have thousands of 5-star reviews from customers like Dan D. in New York, who writes, "I am satisfied customer. How can this only be $15? He wrote it in all caps. I needed you to feel it, like he feels it. I hope I did that justice, Dan. And I hope that you try Mint too at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months required. New subscribers only. Renew for 12 months to lock in savings. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com.
Okay guys, welcome to this week's episode of Heavy Metal Tones with me, your podcast host and metal mad man, Tony Evans, here in sunny Canberra in Australia. As you would have known, or if you listened to the last episode, that this month is going to be Sabbath month. If you hadn't listened to the last episode, well, more for you, it was a good one, but also welcome aboard. So the next 4 weeks are going to be my take on Sabbath. It won't be albums that you recognise. Well, you will recognise. It won't be albums. Oop, knocked my tea, my microphone. It won't be albums that you would normally probably think of as the ones I'd pick. But they are ones that are not necessarily my favourite albums, although a couple of them are. Like this particular first one, Black Sabbath's Sabotage, is not my favourite by all means of the Aussie era recordings. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to go Aussie, then we're going to go Dio, then we're going to go Tony Martin, then we're going to probably, the fourth one is still up in the air. I'd like you guys to vote and let me know which one you want. I'm thinking it's going to be either another Tony Martin album or another Aussie album. I won't be doing any of the Glenn Hughes stuff or any of that sort of stuff. So a little bit of first some housekeeping. This album does, and we will talk about mental health. So those that are suffering with mental health, or living with people who are suffering with mental health, or think they may need to reach out and speak out to people, please do so. It is more pernicious in our society than you think. All of us are touched in our lives by someone with mental health. My father at the moment is going through dementia, and so it's sort of it is very easy to run away and bury your head in the sand. But please, guys, do reach out. There are plenty of organisations in the local area. I will put a link in the ones for Australia. The countries that you're living in would also have an equivalent to do this, to reach out, and it does save lives. Anyway, heaviness over, more heaviness to begin. So, Sabotage, the 6th studio album from the mighty Black Sabbath, and it was released on the 20th of July 1975, recorded at Morgan Studios in Willesden. Now, Willesden was literally 5 minutes down the road from me. We used to drive past the studios on the bus, and my brother would point out, look, the Pistols recorded there, or Led Zeppelin recorded there, whoever. He would just point out, and he would often, as a youth, hang around the studio doors to get autographs of the bands coming in and out. By the time I got to it, they'd moved on, sadly. They didn't record there anymore. The album runs at 43 minutes and 44 seconds in length. It is produced by Black Sabbath as a band in whole, which is basically Tony Iommi and Mike Butcher. I've written down here in big red letters that this is, and pardon my French here, the Mindfuck album, and I think it really is a case of mindfuck. It was named Sabotage because the band itself was going through litigation against the old management over royalties and the way they were being managed, and so they thought they were being sabotaged from all areas. So Tony Iommi said that he felt he was being shot up from all sides. That was his quote. It's also why this album is one of the heaviest of the early set of albums, and I think is my favourite of the heavy early set ones. I mean, Tony Iommi goes on record in his book. I highly recommend his book, Iron Man. That he says that he felt that Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, the album before, wasn't really a heavy rock album. There was too much orchestration, too much keys, and when they took it on tour, they had to have a permanent keyboard player on the stage, which is the first time that happened with them. And I don't particularly enjoy Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I love the album cover, and I love all Sabbath, really, let's be honest. Who doesn't? But there's sort of a point where you go, not my pick. I could have picked that for the unusualness of the album, that it is more lighter, more orchestrated. But I think this one itself, they worked through the night on this album, according to Tony and Bill Ward. Tony would spend hours and hours and hours on his guitar sound, and Bill Ward was using early forms of drum gates. So his tom drum was being recorded and then gated, so it would echo backwards, and it was he did the same thing with his cymbals, and that's quite obvious in a lot of this album actually. And it does create a sort of calypso African rhythm, which I think Bill Ward would have taken from his hero Ginger Baker, because Ginger Baker was big into that sort of sound. The album cover. Let's talk about the album cover now. Very interesting story about the album cover. So everyone looks at the album cover and sees, it's a mirror and it's Ozzy in some tights and some guy in the band in his really hippie kind of clothing. And the reason that happened is that they thought that they'd come to the photography studio to just do a trial run photograph. And the photographs and the concept was done by Bill Ward's drum tech, who at the time was a graphic designer, Graham Wright, and he convinced the band to do it. Now, once they saw the photographs, they thought, "Oh, hang on, we can't have this. This isn't very, very heavy hard rock." But the band were under the apprehension, they took more photographs, but they were under the misconception that they were going to superimpose the other pictures over the front of the album later on, but they never did. And I think probably due to budget constraints and getting the record out on time, it is considered one of the worst album covers of all time. I honestly, it reminds me a lot of Jethro Tull's album with Teacher on it. Do you know what? I've gone absolutely blank. One moment. See, this is what happens when you're up late watching the football. Hang on. Benefit, that's it. Brain bloody freeze moment. So it reminds me of the feel of Benefit. And it's sort of around the same sort of period of time as well, interestingly enough. And, they've certainly done worse albums. I think 13 is possibly the worst album they've did, cover-wise. So, I think it sort of, it helps to, it sort of screeches, sort of midlife crisis, 6 albums in. At the time, the band were going through some very heavy drug and alcohol abuse issues, and they'd been thrown into the spotlight. They were one of the biggest bands in the world at the time. Album sales are going through the roof. They had singles. It's not really a singles band, but singles doing well, albums doing well. Massive in America, which is of course where you want to be to make that kind of money. They're poor lads from Birmingham and the surrounds of Birmingham. Used to be called a man called Moon, and a good friend of mine, Kate, who I was only talking to last night because she's an Aston Villa fan, and my beloved West Ham beat them 1-0. Just thought I'd put that in there. And she saw them when they were called Earth, not Moon. They were called Earth. She saw them at a pub when they were playing as a band called Earth. She also was at the recording of Amagama by Pink Floyd. So, some people have all the fucking luck, don't they? Time and place, I suppose. Time and place. Anyway, so they were going through a lot of drug and alcohol abuse, and this is where the depression comes in. It brought on a lot of depression in all the band. The only member of the band that wasn't being treated for clinical depression at the time was Tony Iommi. And I think he was too focused, to be honest with you, because he's sort of like the riff master, the lord of the riff. He's consumed by the band and its direction and its music, and he's producing and he's writing and he's orchestrating. I don't think he had time for in the space in his mind, although he probably did, to let those demons come in, doubt and paranoia and all the things that are the curse of humanity and creativity. And so I don't think he let the band management stuff get to him as well. I think he let the other members of the band sort of deal with that, which sort of may have been a way of defending himself mentally. It goes to show, though, because the riffing in this album, we'll go through song by song later on, but the riffing in this album is top quality, isn't it? It's probably some of the best he's produced up until that point. I don't know, people will roll their eyes and think, well, hang on, no, War Pigs and Paranoid. Yeah. I still say my favourite, because we're not going to cover this album, so I'm going to tell you now, just as an honourable mention, my favourite guitar solo, and Matt Coombs knows this, cleverly pointed out in the Facebook group chat earlier, is Dirty Women. And the reason I love the guitar solo in Dirty Women is it's so bluesy, it's so filthy, dirty, bluesy, off an album that really is so derided and unloved, and I don't understand it. I think Technical Ecstasy is, the album cover's awful. If I said 13's awful, I think Technical Ecstasy is awful. It reeks of just get it done, boys, that cover. But the actual album itself, it's a mix and match of things that don't go places, and dead ends and false beginnings and craziness, pop culture, metal, rock, blues, jazz, it's all there. But underlying it, right at the end of the album, is Dirty Women. And when I saw Sabbath for the very last time, with my good friends Millsy and my wife Karen, my good friend Millsy and my wife and my mate Dave, in Sydney during their 13th, their final tour. He finished playing his white Strat. He played Dirty Women. Was it his white Strat or his white SG? Look, it was too long ago now, but all I remember is being up in the bloody fucking gods because we couldn't get tickets anywhere else, and I cried my eyes out. I sat there and I openly wept because it was the last time, I was going to see the band live. That I saw them in my very first gig, and my favourite guitar solo, and it was just like, and there he was, centre stage, Tony in the spotlight. I know he's recording at the moment, and it looks like he's going to release a few albums coming up, solo albums with guest members from Sabbath, I believe, and also some big guests I've heard rumoured. It was just magical. So yes, he is. I think he surrounds himself with his work, and that saves his mental state. So Sabotage, as I said, some of the best guitar riffs that he wrote up until that point. Obviously, if I was to dissect later albums, I'd probably find other ones. I think this is Geezer's strongest album. I think it's absolutely Bill Ward's. I think this is where Bill Ward let free and let open, because it feels like Bill Ward is not there but there. He's not brutalizing you with his rhythms, but he's drawing you along with his syncopation and his work with cymbals and this whole sort of, it's quite proggy in a lot of respects. And I know I keep coming back to prog, but it is quite proggy in a lot of respects because it's vastly different to a lot of things were being done at the time. Recording wasn't done like it is now, so it was done live in the studio. I think I watched a documentary of it that they basically recorded through Shure speakers. Mics, and they mic'd the room and played the room. I think there would have been some vocal overdubs, and of course there would have been some guitar overdubs. It's quite a layered album. It's I look at it and think that it's I think it's their Sgt. Pepper, actually. It's their Pet Sounds, it's their English Settlement. I could name loads, right? It's their OK Computer. It's their layered, textured monolith of an album, because they move forward after that and become a little more straightforward. Even though that they said that they moved away from Bloody Sabbath sort of textures, there's still a lot laid off. There's still a lot of toys they're playing with here. There's definitely, a lot of, even though you don't quite hear it, Tony's really pushing his Crybaby Wah on a lot of the solos. And if you don't know what a Crybaby Wah Wah pedal is, guys, just to people uninitiated, it's just a pedal that it's like a gate. So when it's open, it makes a sound. It closes and it makes a different sound. And you move the pedal back and forth to create that wow, wow, wow. It's basically a from my basic knowledge, it's a audio modulator. Just modulates the signal in such a way that that you get that sort of wah wah wah. That sort of it was overused by the disco in the 70s. Wow, chicka wow wow wow, very porn soundtrack. I've come to clean the pool kind of thing, right? But he uses it to very fine effect in his solos. They're there, can't always hear it, but it's there. We'll mention that when we get to the song breakdowns. But I genuinely wonder how this album is sort of lost to time in the Sabbath's catalogue. I do now, listening to it, it got to number 7 in the UK charts, which is not, by any means is it a slouch. It is mentioned that the Rolling Stone had it at number 32 of the best rock albums of all time out of its top 100 rock albums. So 32, that's a good showing. When you think all the albums that could be that are up are lower than that, when it comes to it, it's a nice, quickly paced album. This I like. 43 minutes 44 seconds. Is that what it was? What did I say it was? Oh my god. 43, 44, yeah. So, you can get on an album comfortably. Now, I'm listening to the original mix from my vinyl copy. And I've got a couple of them, the American print, Australian print, and the UK print. So 3 I've got. I always go to the UK print because it's Vertigo and... no, not Vertigo. Dang. It's not Vertigo. No. They moved, didn't they? Yeah, no, it's on Vertigo. Sorry, yes, it is on Vertigo. God, I've got the album here looking at it. They did move away after that from Vertigo. That was a problem. Vertigo were shafting them. Anyway, as well. Brilliant label, Vertigo. Really underrated, I got a lot of albums on Vertigo, particularly the Sensational Alex Harvey Band albums. I love them. I always go back and I love the The label in the middle has got one of those hypnotic sort of swirls in it. I think it's brilliant. Anyway, great label. When I don't think Vertigo was shafting. It might have been part of the litigation. Who knows? I have to read the book back again. I made that up. So what was I saying? So yes, I'm listening to the original UK pressing. The reissue, the 2019 reissue that you get on Spotify is very good, but they've cleaned it a bit. So when you get to songs like Thrill of It All, it's cleaner, whereas my copy, now mine's in mint condition, so it's not the print of the record, because this happens across the 3 records I listen to this to make sure. It's much muddier in the mix. So I think try and find the original mix, maybe on CD, cassette if you've got it, vinyl if you don't. I think it is on Spotify, the original print of it. You have to hunt for it. A lot of these bands, they remove the original copies and they put on their reissues because A, they make more money from it, B, they think they're making a better album, but really it's like your favourite pair of shoes or your favourite jacket or your favourite jeans. When you put them on, you go, oh, that's how I remember it. You don't necessarily want something new and tweaked. The band get the product they wanted, but the world doesn't get that. Unless you're an audiophile, but like ourselves, that we listen to the show, you sort of get it. I personally always try and listen to the original mix. That's saying that the new Fugazi mix that came out last year, the Marillion second album, is an absolute stalker of a reissue because it wasn't as how they wanted it. I mean, Maiden's Classic saying that they're trying to redo the first album because they don't like the way that it was recorded. I've even heard rumours that Bruce Dickinson in the past was going to re-record the entire first 2 albums with his vocals. I think that's so they can shaft Di'Anno, personally, so they don't have to pay him as much. Am I being cynical? I probably am. Should I not be? Probably, but it is what it is, and who I am. I played it actually. I've just played Sabotage through my new speakers. I've just refurbished 2 beautiful Marantz 1980 cabinets. Now, all the speakers were screwed in it, but I replaced all of them, the drivers, the mid-range and the subwoofers, and it's got, I didn't change any of the hardware inside, and man, they are so sweet, really sweet. And I've still got a Marantz subwoofer that works perfectly well. If someone wants it, a 12-inch, to let me know. Why would you want one? I don't know, but you may be after one to replace. It's in great condition. I had to change both subwoofers because it was sounding imbalanced. Because one was a paper cone from the 70s, and the other one, I bought a rubber coned one, which is more bassier, and Anyway, and this album sounds great for these speakers. Absolutely great for the vintage. I know they're not technically vintage speakers anymore, but the hardware in the back that drives it, that's vintage. All the capacitors and resistors and the cabling. So beautiful, beautiful sound. Anyway, try and hunt out the old copy. If not, listen to whatever you can get your hands on. Honestly, I just want you to listen to the album. Coming to the end of side 1 now. I'm going to go and warm my tea up. It's getting really cold out here. I'm going to go and have some lunch, and I'll pop back, and we will talk about song by song on this, wondrous, fantastic piece of music. And like I said before, I got sidetracked. It's good that it's only 44 minutes because, as I've always mentioned before on this show, the demonization of the world when it comes to CDs. Oh, we can pack 100 minutes on this CD. Let's pack 100 minutes. Not only do you compress the sound so it's shiny plastic nonsense, there's no warmth in it anymore, and I've got a really tailored ear, and I can hear it, and it upsets me. And also, we'll just put nonsense on it. We'll just put absolute crap on it. Now, strange little side note there. This album does have, if you get on some vinyl copies, and it is on the streaming copy, right at the end there's a secret 30-second track called Blow on a Jug, where it's sort of really low volume, slowly recorded with Ozzy blowing on a jug and singing "Blow on a Jug." Man, they must have been stoned. Absolutely so much Charlie that they wouldn't even know where to begin, Anyway, that's the end of this side. Off we go, and I'll see you on the other side, guys. Bye-bye.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New subscribers only. Renew for 12 months to lock in savings. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome back, guys, to side 2 of my first Sabbath foray for this month of Sabbath. You might ask why I'm choosing Sabbath for this month. It's actually quite an interesting note, because Sabbath was my first ever gig, and it was been my year anniversary, even though I just did the year episode. Thank you guys for listening. It was got some really good numbers, people really good positive feedback. I know it's not heavy metal man, but it's, it's heavy, and it's my love and my passion and my show. But I thought I'd do Sabbath because of the... we're coming in, it's a year anniversary. It's my favourite... It's my first ever live show and one of my favourite bands of all time. Very great memories of this band and the way it has affected my life. And I thought, well, I can't do it in one album, and I want to do it all in 1 month. And I might have to spread it over next, do another month later in the year for honourable mentions like Technical Ecstasy. But no, I thought I'd start with this. So let's get on to the first track on side 1. I hope you're hydrated. I know I am. I've had some lunch. Very nice. Side 1, Hole in the Sky. What can I say about Hole in the Sky? Bill Ward plays the toms on this and the cymbals on this. As we've mentioned before in the first part of the show, he plays them at 120 beats per minute and 180 beats per minute. So 120 beats for the toms and 180 for the cymbals. And it has this Afro-Cuban feel, like I mentioned before. I might have said Afro-Caribbean, Afro-Cuban feel. And Geezer says that it's about pollution. And some people say it's about cosmic travel. I don't think it's about cosmic travel. I think it's a song that is so far advanced of its own self. They had no idea about CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, and what we were doing to the planet, and ozone erosion back in the late mid-70s. Well, they might have done. I doubt it. And Geezer's always been... This is very much a Geezer song. Geezer's always been an intellectual. He's always been tuned in. I mean, you remember the folks. These are flower power people. I hate hippies. I don't have a thing. I don't really enjoy... Hate's the wrong word. Sorry. Rewind that. Scrap that. No, I don't hate hippies. I love prog music, and most of those are hippies. No, it's not hippies. It's the ineffectuality of that particular youth movement that annoys me. Okay, anyway, rant over. So these guys are flower power people. Blues, flower power, skiffle, mod, ska, whatever. They're all from that era. And so, Geezer being his age then, he was probably in his late 20s at the time, and he's really in tune, man, with the world, right? And so there was a lot going on around then. Of course, you'd already had the Vietnam thing with Paranoid, right? So now this is his eco. I think he's written songs about ecology before as well, but it's very much that ecology. If you listen to the lyric, all right, of this particular song, I'm looking through a hole in the sky. I'm seeing nowhere through the eyes of a lie. I'm getting closer to the end of the line. I'm living easy where the sun doesn't shine. I'm living in a room without any view. I'm living free because the rent's never due. The synonyms of all the things I've said are just riddles that are built in my head. Now, that has nothing to do with ecology, right? Hole in the sky, gateway to heaven. I think he's using, a very well-trod path there, where he's sort of double meaning, and if you look at the lyric, okay, I'm living in a room without any view. I'm living free because the rent is never due. What that says to me is that we're living on this planet rent free. We're not asked to look after it, so why do we care? We ain't got to pay for it, so why do we care? We just rape it as much as we can. Sorry for the R word, people. A window in time, through it I fly. I've seen the stars disappear into the sun. Now, again, I think this is about the end days. If you listen to the way that the song just abruptly finishes, it just dies. How many times in my past as a youth thought that I'd recorded it wrong from the record, or my record was broken when I first heard it. I was recording onto tape, I remember, and it just stopped. And I was like, what? What? Is it my tape fucked or something? No. And that's really all I can say about this song. I think it's one of Ozzy's really fine vocals. I love the push and pull rhythm of it. I think Iommi's guitar just starts to warm up in this album, this song. It's a great live song, and it's what mid-era Sabbath is all about. It's a message. It's beautifully recorded, a big sound in a small space. They're all at this point, 6 albums in, and all those years touring before, are now tight as a gnat's guff. They're so tight you couldn't get a credit card between the cheeks. You know what I mean? It is just timelessly tight, and it's quite quick. It runs in at 3 minutes or so, and bang, it's out. And then you're into Don't Start brackets too late close brackets. It's an instrumental. Again, all I've written here, honestly, is just a way of Tony showing his beautiful guitar skills. He wanted to move away. It's also, I think, a way of just, because they ended Hole in the Sky so abruptly, they needed to roll a bit and soften the edge into the next one, which is a monster of a track. So they used a little bit of music just to interlude. This is the progressiveness. This is why I think this is a daring album for them. Because it's not straightforward, nose to the grindstone, asses up, heads down, chug, 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 chug. Not that they were ever that way anyway, but it's not that way, is it? It's can you imagine you're a 15, 16-year-old boy or girl, and you've bought Sabotage because you listen to your brother's albums, the previous albums, and think, geez, these are so heavy. And you put it on, and it opens with Hole in the Sky, which is heavy, but, not that heavy. And then it suddenly diverts completely into this sort of soft melange of, semi-acoustic, Tommy-driven, light refreshingness, and riffage in there as well. And then bang, you're out. And you're into Symptoms of the Universe, Sabbath's epoch-making song. You can say Paranoid, you can say War Pigs, you can say Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, you can say anything you like, all right. But of the Ozzy era albums, Symptom of the Universe is so wondrously heavy and so deliciously Sabbath. You know, it has that push, pull, as I mentioned, that drawn into the rhythm, pushed out of the rhythm, drawn into the rhythm, pushed out into the rhythm. It's timeless riffage, you know. You can hear Zeppelin in it. I hear a lot of Zeppelin. You can. It's like they just put the heaviness pedal on and turned it to 10. It's, you got to take note that they were taking a shitload of drugs, and this song really shows it. You know, the Tony's breakdown at the end, the guitar breakdown at the end is exquisite, right? It's okay. So lyrically, all right, if we're going to pull apart a song lyrically, let's go to oh, that side playing. Do you hear that? You see what happens when I turn the volume down. Okay. Take me through the centuries to supersonic years, electrifying enemies drowning in his tears. All I have to give you is love that never dies. The symptom of the universe is written in your eyes. Yeah, right? Mother Mooch is calling me back to her silver womb. Father of creation takes me from the stolen tomb. Seventh Advent unicorn is waiting in the skies. A symptom of the universe, love that never dies. Now, ignore the unicorn stuff and the mooch stuff. I'm sure that, again, that's a lot of wacky weed, a lot of sprinkle angel dust and so on. It is obviously something they were reading. I personally think that they were heavily, Geezer and Ozzy and the band were heavily reading or influenced by Aldous Huxley's masterwork, The Doors of Perception, written in the 60s, or even I'd say probably Brave New World, which is obviously it was influenced Maiden later on, many years later. There's a lot of that sort of peyote drinking, sort of mind expanding imagery in this song. I also think they were probably sort of influenced by, in some respect, I think they were influenced by William S. Burroughs' Naked Lunch, which was filmed many years later by David Cronenberg. It's a whacked out, crazy nut of a movie, and so is the book. So I think that they were more influenced by that, because people were more influenced by the written word back then, because you didn't have the media of TV and film to influence you. It is a glorious live song. I think it's one of Ozzy's best vocal performances. You can really hear the expanse in the music. Tony's guitar is, what can I say? I can't keep reviewing Iommi's riffs. Iommi is the riff master of them all. His riffage is 110%. If you know, and I know he's not kind of 110%, but it's 110% the best riffage on the planet. There's so much riffage there, you're always going to have a very good gut health. Anyway, the old joke, I listen to Tony's riffage so much now that I'm quite constant. I'm very regular. Not very funny, but I loved it. Okay, so that's that. That really is Symptoms of the Universe. Most of us that have heard it have heard it. It's got that really great call and answer staccato to it, and that kind of rhythm, that dun 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 dun. There's something about the way that Tony hits those strings. I know that we all know about his fingers damage on his fretting fingers. We all know that. We all know that he had to use lighter strings and viola strings and all that sort of stuff and whatever, lighter gauge strings. And he invented the use of lighter gauge strings and dot tuning and whatever. But it's just his ability to see a rhythm within a constraint of the 12-part blues. He's not out there million note solos, right? He's not some Steve Vai, so Joe Satriani, Herman Lee, pyrotechnics. He's not that. He doesn't need it. to some extent, that's why Kiss's guitar riffs are so good. I'm not a Kiss fan. In fact, I don't like the band at all. But they do write crunching and good guitar riffs, and that's basically why Sabbath are the way they are. Anyway, we move on from Symptom of the Universe. I can't say too much more about it. I just think, it is, I think, the pinnacle of the Ozzy era songs. It is a crazy lyric. It is a crazy, drug-filled paranoia, but I think it's, it really balances well with Hole in the Sky. And then you go into Megalomania. Megalomania, now, wow, this is my kind of thing. I really fucking love this song. This is classic Sabbath. Classic Sabbath. Why is it classic Sabbath? I hear you cry, Tony. I think it's classic Sabbath. Lyrically, rhythmically, it is solid. It feels like if you listen to the music and you close your eyes, it can almost feel its shape. Does that sound wanky? I've said before that I listen to music and I hear music in shape form, okay? Some people in colours, I feel it in shapes. I feel, a lot of, like for instance, like I've said to John before, I feel Pink Floyd is angular, like pointed and geometric, whereas like Yes and Genesis and Marillion and things are curved and cloud-like, and Maiden is, to me, is very much like that. In fact, Maiden's a healthy mix of both. Anyway, Megalomania. It is. It's so dense. Okay. The triplets that Tony puts in, his guitar soloing is just there in the back, but it's the ability to fill the space musically is second to none in this song. I think I've written here. And the vocal performance that comes in is so Ozzy. So how he, people said Ozzy couldn't sing and can't sing. What a load of fucking bullshit. And I've swore a lot in this episode. Sorry, I've had some with Dad going on at the moment. My brain, I don't mean to be rude, but still, it makes me. I'm very passionate about this. Ozzy's vocal point, for him to sing along in the register that he does, the key he does with Tony's guitar, not many people could do it, because like John Lydon always said, and for those who don't know, that's Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols. He got that way because he couldn't hear himself sing in the monitors when he was practicing. Like John said, I didn't realise it was that kind of honky-donkey, right? When he heard himself back. And the same with Ozzy, because he didn't hear himself for many years. They didn't have fold-backs and all that sort of stuff. They just played and recorded and just played, right? And so his vocal style was built that way. Could he sustain it? No. With the drugs, could he? No. But then no one's vocal... apart from someone freaky like, I know, Rob Halford, there's not many people whose vocal lines can be as fresh now as then. And he really holds that, it's Bill's toms and metronomic. This sound, for me, is the DNA of that many bands take from them. It's in most heavy rock and heavy metal's DNA comes from this one song. This rhythm and sound in Megalomania is exactly the sound. It is the sound of modern heavy metal. If anything, it is the sound of new wave of British heavy metal. It is really, I think, I'm going on out on the limb here and saying that's how I feel. And lyrically, okay, so I hide myself in shadows of shame. The silent symphonies were playing their game. My body echoed to the dreams of my soul. Inside is something that I could not control. Where can I run to now? The joke is on me. No sympathizing God is insanity. Again, I think this is like Hole in the Sky. I think it's an attack on Christianity and organised religion. Not, though, people please be out there who devoutly religion to not listen. It's not that kind of attack. It's I think someone's disillusionment. I think Geezer had lost some family members around that time. Marriages weren't doing well. Drugs were being played. And when your mind is open to perceptions, like that they are on some of these songs, with the use of drugs and with the reading of literature like Doors of Perception and Naked Lunch and as I said, Brave New World. You're going to question the basis of humanity and structures of humanity, and most structures of humanity is structured around organised or some form of theological base, isn't it? So he does in this question it, and I think I don't. No, here's a lyric here. The ghosts of violence was something I've seen. I've sold my soul to the human obscene. It's really heavy, man. How did my fantasies take complete control? I mean, also it could be. I mean, at that time there was a lot of serial killers. There was a lot of violence in the community. Maybe he's reaching out and he's tapping into something like a Ted Bundy thing. I mean, who knows? Or the neurosis of someone like the Zodiac killings, or they were spending a lot of time in America, and America has the highest capacity of serial killers in the world. It still does, and so maybe it's that. Maybe he's tapping into that. I wouldn't mind researching this one a bit more, actually. Sometimes it works, the researcher. Sometimes it's sort of just, hey, why don't you sit back and enjoy the bloody song? It is heavy, but it's heavy themes. As I said, there's a lot of depression in those themes as well. Megalomania is a form of mental illness. It's being pushed. Everyone will know the stories of megalomaniac people. Genghis Khan, Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, Mao, Stalin. These are not people that we don't know about. These are megalomaniac people that control the world and try to control the world. And I think that's probably what he's doing as well. He's probably trying to get in the minds of them. Very clever man, Geezer. Geezer's behind the song. It feels like Geezer's thumbprint all over it. Speaking of Geezer's thumbprint, Venom Inc. do a really good cover version of it as well. I used to use Geezer Butler's signature bass strings. He has these black coated ones. Man, burnt my fingers, man. Flipping hard work. I don't know how he does it. Anyway, then we go to side 2. This is, again, been a longer album, sorry. We turn to side 2 and we get Thrill of It All. It's a muddy mix, as I said before. It's punchy. It punches through, though. It's a very bluesy number. It's probably the bluesiest song they've ever done, I think. It echoes the whole album, that the space in which the band play. It's a very prototypical song for a lot of songs that Ozzy would go ahead on to make in the future. It again also has another sort of snipe organised religion. I think it's my favourite song of the album outside of Symptoms of the Universe. It's one of those songs that probably people have lost. I mean, when you make as many albums, as many songs as Sabbath does, you're going to lose some of the mix. Things are going to get lost in the mix, right? Lyrically, again, Jesus is mentioned. Inclination of direction, walk the turned and twisted rift. With the children of creation, futuristic dreams we sift. Clutching violently, we whisper with a liquefying cry. Any identity. I can't read today, guys. Any identify the answers that are surely doomed to die. Won't you help me, Mr. Jesus? Won't you tell me if you can? When you see the world we live in, do you still believe in man? So again, these are heavy, man. And it will all be Aldous Huxley. It will all be that sort of shit. It'll all be drugs related. But scrapping the lyric aside, let's step back and listen to the music. And how does someone, you have to be a genius. This is Tony's genius. And Bill Ward's and Geezers, no, please, let's not take the whole band, and Ozzy, and they take heavy subjects and they move it and blend it into blues music. As I said, there's an episode about 4 episodes back now, I think, is Where Did the Blues Go, Man? And this is so effing, see, almost swore that, so fudgingly apt, man. They're so bluesy and so heavy and so wondrous, and I think this is it, right? Where did the blues go, man? It dies with these guys in the metal world. As soon as Sabbath started slowing down, the blues died in heavy rock, and I think this is really its pinnacle here around this song here. And then it's what have I wrote here? There's a progginess to it. It does sound almost like they were listening to a lot of West Coast American music. They were in America at the time, touring. I wrote Boston down as a sort of listening note, but Boston's album was 2 years afterwards, so Boston were probably influenced by this song. There's a lot of almost like they're trying to channel a bit of Lynyrd Skynyrd almost in it. Crazingly enough, what a crazy thought that is. But anyway, this move from there, because I've got to speed up, we're running out of time, guys, sorry, into Am I Going Insane, open brackets, radio, close brackets, edit. Now, that doesn't mean it's a radio edit, guys. People get this confused a lot. What that means is actually a Cockney rhyming slang. I'm from a family of Cockneys. It's the East End of London. It's the way they would use a language like the gay community in the 50s with a thing called Polari, where they would have words like lallies for legs and raya for hair, so that they could speak and be sexual amongst themselves without because it was a criminal offence to be gay in the UK at that time. And so they could talk amongst themselves and no one would know what they're talking about. Very theatrical, was mainly in the theatre. But Cockney rhyming slang is, radio rental is a Cockney rhyming slang for mental. Sorry to use the M word out there. I'm not trying to offend, but it's what it is. So Am I Going Insane? This song is what it does. It says on the label. Okay? Wonderful chromatic scale vocal line in it. The key that they're playing in is uplifting for a depressing subject. Bill's cymbals that are gated are genuinely beautiful. It's full of paranoia. Okay, it's full of doubt. It's sonically. It's a single, so they had to do something. You could never release Megalomaniac or Simpsons Universe single then. It wouldn't have had radio play. Not that I saw this would get any radio play. I couldn't even find what number it got to in the charts when I was doing my research. I think this is, again, Ozzy's influence on this song. It's very ballady-like, even though it's not a ballad. He likes a ballad, doesn't he, out as Ozzy? And I think this is sort of going up there. Oh, I missed one. Sorry. Tick back. Whoop, zip, that. I missed the instrumental. Superstars. That's spelled STZAR. It's only a minute or so long. It just breaks the heaviness, I think, of Thrill of It All into the crazy pop lightness and madness of Am I Going Insane? That's how I feel about that particular piece of music. It doesn't really stay with me very long. I think it's a filler. I often say these albums are all killer, no filler, but this is a bit filler. I think, again, it's very much like the other instrumental, which is to break the album up. They probably needed to get the album to 40 minutes and thought, well, shit, we can't record another song. What do we do? And I think this is probably a bit of that. So that's probably why I missed it. Sorry, guys. If any of you out there love that piece of music, I am sorry if I've missed it or didn't give it enough of kudos. Anyway, it's quite disturbing. I will say that as a piece of music. It's quite juxtapositional. I wrote juxtapositional. As I know I love lots of long words, and that's one of them. It does feel like it's sort of doesn't sit on the album. Anyway, back to Am I Going Insane? Everybody's looking at me, feeling paranoid inside. When I step outside, I feel free. Think I'll find a place to hide. Tell me, people, am I going insane? Now that when I step outside, I feel free. What is I think there is that I'm taking these drugs, and I am open and free because I suppress my true Jungian feelings. Let's say that. You could be Jung at heart. You could be Jung at heart. Or you could be Freudian. Who knows? You know, I once said to someone that it's a bit of a Freudian slip, and I said I didn't know he wore women's underwear. Anyway, sorry, I'm just trying to light the mood of this particular song. Every day I sit and wonder how my life is used to be. Now I feel like going under. Now my life is hard to see. I think as well, the Ozzy from memory was also going through relationship issues as well, and I think this is Ozzy's song. This is his song on the album. This is my song, guys. Time to shine. And it's only a short song. Look, it does deal with mental health issues. I don't think he's certainly not light. Going over with a light eye. It's still quite a heavy song, but it's one of my favourite songs of his. It is very much a prototypical. Ozzy would jump back and play this sort of music much later in his solo careers, and even later in the latest Sabbath albums. We'll go quickly on to the last track of the album, The Writ. Now, that's what it is, isn't it? They're going through litigation with their management. This really says it all. It's just basically about the fact that they are in financial strife as well. The way I feel is the way I am. I wish I'd walked before I started to run. Brilliant. So it's saying, hey, I wish I knew more about what I'd signed. Now, that's music industry 101, isn't it? What kind of people do you think we are? Another joker who's a rock and roll star. Yeah. See, it's a stab, stab, stab. Endless ocean of emotion. I swam for you. Yeah, for you. The shot troopers laying down on the floor. So it's basically saying that, you know, we made you your fortune. We put our body on the line, our soul. I did quote. I made a quote to one of my good friends the other night. So I can find it. Where is it? Okay. What did I say? I said there is something unworldly about the people who bare their souls to make us music, and each and every one of us is a hero to me. Of them is a hero to me. Now, I said that because we're talking about Lemmy and people, chatting about Motorhead at the time, and I think this is what he's saying. They're saying here, we are your heroes. We made who you are, and you're taking from us, and you're not giving us back. You know, we bared our soul musically, and you're not recompensing us for that. It's torturous to make music. Guys out there, I'm sure there's a lot of you out there listening who do write and record music and are in bands, and who are artistic or creative in general. And I have been creative all my life, and it is a soul tearing thing to do, to be creative. Even this can be quite arduous at times. I mean, I stand at the door going to record, and I do feel like I don't want to do it. I feel, stressed. I talk my ass off. I don't care. But I just think, oh my God, I'm burying my soul a bit here and every now and again. A little piece of me is going, and this is why I think they get with The Writ. There's a wonderful bit at the end where there's mad laughing and a giggling, and a lot of people in the past have thought it was Ozzy Osbourne's daughter Jessica. It's actually not. The sound engineer found a tape in the studio lying around on the floor, marked laugh, and he put it on, and it was this mad laugh that someone had recorded. Sort of insane laugh. So they sped it up and they played it through at the end. It is, yeah. So it is what it is. That album is. Also, that was on the end of that laugh is on the end of. Am I going insane? I'm looking at my notes. My page went over. Apologise. So don't think about that. The Writ's here as I've got. So it is. There's a good. Musically, it's quite pushy-pulley. Like I said, if that's a way I can sort of describe it. The low bubbling wah wah of Tony on there. This is. I think I've made a big note in big letters. I've said Ozzy's best vocal performance. the change of direction through the album is so evident that the Aussies, how Aussies' Tortured Soul was at the time, and all the rest of the bands, it does not have a diametrically... Sorry, all the songs are diametrically opposed. There are a couple of links. There is obviously mental health is a big tick on this, and being used by record companies, big tick on it. But there's also underlying vocal nuances, about the world they live in, about the world that their family will inherit. There is still that slight hippie flower power thing going on, but at this time, instead of sitting in a field twiddling flowers and making love with each other, which still is a wonderful thing, but not changing the world, is it? But what Ozzy and the band were trying to do is change the world, and I think people that listen to this music in the past have thought that. I'm sure there are people out there who are advocates and big names in the world of ecology and mental health, have listened to these records and have taken note, and have probably subconsciously or through osmosis set into their systems. I'm not saying that this is the most poignant album of all time and we should listen to it. No, it is still a rock and roll album. It's still there to entertain. It's just a lot darker and a lot heavier, and so much, for me, the most interesting of the first Aussie albums. I hope you've enjoyed this chat about it. I want you to go and listen, tell me what you think. I would also, please do jump on to my Facebook page, Heavy Metal Tones, and message me. I would love to know what you want that fourth week to be. I'm still not sure. I might do a best of all the rest, quick delve into it. Next week's is going to be Ronnie James Dio. The week after that will be Tony Martin, and then, as I said, where we go from there, it might be up to you guys. I might do a poll and see if you will vote. Let's see if I can know how to do it that technically. I'm not the most gifted with this stuff. Well, bye for now. Keep safe, keep well, keep rocking. And as I said at the beginning of the show, any of you out there, anyone living with someone or is living with any mental health issues in any level or form that was affecting the way you live, do reach out. Please reach out. If it's not reaching out to your family members, it's reaching out to yourself, because there is always an answer and there is always a way out into the sunny uplands of mental stability. Okay, guys? If rock and roll is your way of keeping you safe and mentally healthy, then go for it. If listening to heavy metal is your way of making you mentally safe and healthy, go for it, loud as you possibly can. And if someone says to you, turn that music down, you say no, because it helps the noises in my head feel better, okay? So I am, we've all lived with it, guys. Sorry to end on a bummer, but we all have. Good luck, safe mental health, as Fraser would say, and I'll see you next week for the Ronnie James Dio years. Bye, guys.